All right, here we are, have recording in progress. Rosh Chodesh, wow. Rosh Chodesh Nissan, so jam-packed with so many different things. It's the first month, it's the day that the Mishkan was inaugurated. I mean, everything was ready already 3 months before. Well, who said to Moshe Rabbeinu, wait, till Nissan, this first day of Nissan is a special month. It's a special day. It's the day, so, according to Rabbi Yeshua, this is the day of the creation of the world. Uh, According to Rabbi Eliezer, it's Rosh Hashanah. It's Tishrei. Well, the Zach is Rosh Chodesh, obviously, is Rabbeinu's birthday. Tremendous, tremendous holiday for Am Yisrael, the present for Am Yisrael. And this is a Chodesh Hazeh Lachem, this is the Chodesh when everything starts, we're stepping towards Pesach, which is, it's different from any other yontiv because um, all the other Yomim Tovim were happening while we were already a nation, you know. But Pesach is something that happened before we became a nation. It's actually a yontiv that made us into a nation. And it's especially important to mention it because, especially now with everything that is going on, um, everything that went last week was a scary week, and it is important to understand that it has a lot to do with the Sichos Haran, the Rabbeinu's Sicha for tonight. Um, as we all recall, um, how how did we make it so that um, the Midas Adin, the Mashchis, the Molech did not enter our homes? The doorsteps all over were smeared with blood, and it's Dafka blood that kept away the Midas Adin. Rav Nosson speaks about this many times. This is also the day that Nadav and Avihu passed away. Kodesh Kadosh said, "Bikrovai Kodesh, I'll be sanctified through those who are closest to me." To the point Moshe Rabbeinu says to Aaron HaKohen, Kodesh Baruch Hu told me that this is what's going to happen, but I thought that the ones to go will be you and me, and I see that Nadav and Avihu are greater than us, than you and me. The entryway to the Kedusha is amazingly delicate. It's amazingly delicate. As Rabbeinu says, Kol hamatzdik atzmo milamata, anybody who sanctifies himself from below, matzdikim alav es hadin milamala, they justify the judgment upon him above. I mean, al pipshat of this amira, it doesn't mean that. It means anybody who justifies himself from below, anybody who gives excuses as to why it's not my fault, it's everybody else's fault. So Mishamayim, they justify, the fault, they justify the judgment upon him. The entryway to Kedusha, the entryway to Pesach, the entryway to our formation as a nation, the thing that kept the mazik at bay was blood. It was painted on the mashkef. It's quite an amazing time that we live in. We had a Godel B'Yisrael, that left us, Chaim Kanievsky, Tzadik Livrocha, and one is not allowed to come to conclusions. Why this happened because of this. Why this happened because of this. But one thing is certain. Yetzias Tzaddik Oiser. The exit of the tzaddik leaves an imprint. I mean, it's a fundamental chisaron be'emunah to disregard that fact. I remember when the very same year that Reb Elvel Cheshin, Zeratzal Libracha, and Reb Levi Yitzhak Bender, Zeratzal Libracha, and Shmuel Shapira, Zeratzal Libracha, they all passed away in 1 year. You can't imagine how reality was before they passed away and after they passed away. Because immediately when they passed away, the first intifada started. It was so clear. Again, it's a dangerous word to say it's clear. I don't know. But Lamaisi, you can't deny, that was the reality. Until then, any kind of raising of the head by the enemy is unthinkable. Literally unthinkable. That's how it was. And then these tzaddikim passed away. Again, I don't want to say this is because of this, is because of that, because I don't know. But nevertheless, Yitzis Tzaddik Oiser Rosh. But nevertheless, also, Minayim She Mises Tzaddikim Mechaperes, it's a kapara. So this is Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh means the first day of his chadshus. We renew ourselves. Rabbeinu said that Zoken, old, is not good. It doesn't matter whether it is an old tzaddik or an old chassid. You have to renew yourself constantly. That's what Rabbeinu says. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, this is the day. This is when everything is happening. This is the portal into everything. Into a scholosh b'kedusha, tremendous yontav that makes us into a nation. We'll talk about it as we're getting closer to Pesach. An amazing day altogether. Rosh Chodesh Nisan on Shabbos. The Nisan is the first and the last word. The Nun and Nun is a Nisan. B'ezrat Hashem. Nisan Asidin Legoel. Okay, so B'ezrat Hashem, let's open up. There's Moshe Shabbos before Melav Malka. We are starting our Melav Malka with the Baal Shem HaKodesh. Let's say a story from Baal Shem HaKodesh. V'schus t'giyalinu. B'ezrat Hashem should all be nitzol from all anguish, all quagmires, or anything and everything. B'schus HaKdosho. Okay. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the skarvos of the Magid HaKodesh from Mezrich to Rabbeinu Baal Shemtov. Rabbi Dov Ber from Mezrich was uh, besides it was an amazing London, it was a chorif gadol, like one of those that besides the fact that obviously he knew the entire Torah, besides the kedusha, but a charifus. He was bokeh, obviously, the entire Torah, the entire Shas, the entire poskim, and obviously the same thing with Kisvei Arizal and Kabbalah. When he first heard about Baal Shemtov, that everybody is going to him, and he's pile, in this tefillah, tremendous miracles, and he was very mispal. What's unbelievable. So one day he decided he was going to go to Baal Shemtov to test him, to see him out, because, and this is a nikud that is definitely worth talking about a little bit later after the start. Umechmas, that he was a big masmid. He never stopped, Immediately, when he started going along the way, he saw that it's not possible for him, to learn on the road the way they learned at home. And immediately, when he was there, he saw already that limud is not going properly. He was sorry that he went. I should have done that. Okay, so fine, but he was already on the road. He arrived at Baal Shemtov, and he figured he's going to hear Torah from Baal Shem. Baal Shemtov told the story about how, to Amaisa, once he went along the way, went for a few days, he didn't have bread to give his wagon driver, and he saw a poor goy that was going around with a sack of bread, so he bought the bread from him to give his balagola, and such stories. As you all probably remember, that the Maise Ben HaMelech Ben HaShifcha She'Ischalfu is also finding a sack of bread. So, but on the outside it looks like a story, but we already know that. Second day, he came to the Baal Shem again, and he told him how along the way, the Baal Shem told him a story. Along the way, he was with his horses, and he didn't have hay to give to the horses. And immediately, suddenly, he saw, he found hay to give to his horses. And all these maises the Baal Shem told him, obviously there was an unbelievable, profound wisdom in it, but the Rav the Magid, he didn't understand all this. And he came to his achsania, to his hotel, to the inn, and he told the person who was, was taking care of him, was with him, he says, listen, I want to go back home today. And he says, because it's very, very dark, let's just, rest, and until the moon, will rise. Then we'll travel to the light of the moon. And in Chatzos Laila, when the Magid, prepared himself to go on the road, the Baal Shem Tov sent his Mesharas, his Gabbai, to call him. So he went to the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov asked him, does he know how to learn? Do you know how to learn? He said, yeah, I do. He says, Baal Shem Tov said, yeah, I think I heard about you, that you can learn, you know how to learn. And he asked him, do you have knowledge in Kabbalah? He told him. So Baal Shem Tov told his Shamash, bring me the Sefer Etz Chaim to Arizal. So the Baal Shem Tov showed the Rebbe Rabbeir, this is a very famous Maaseh, the Rebbe Rabbeir, he showed him one Maimer of Arizal. And he asked the Rebbe Rabbeir to explain this particular Maimer inside. So after the Rebbe Rabbeir, contemplated, he looked into it, and he said to Baal Shemtov the pshat in this manner. Baal Shemtov told him, "You don't know anything." So the Rebbe Ber looked at it some more, and he said to Baal Shemtov, "No, the pshat in this manner is the way I said it." He says, "But if you're Kedush, if you know a different pshat, so tell me what it is, and I'll see which of us is right, who of us is right." So the Baal Shem Tov told him, first of all, stand on your feet. So he stood. Baal Shem Tov said, in this particular moment, there's a few names of Malachim. And the minute the Baal Shem Tov said these words, the Maggid was not a little child. The Maggid of Mizrich was a very, very, very big person. Even before he came to Baal Shem Tov, afterwards what he became, but then he wasn't a kid. And the minute Baal Shem Tov said these words, the room where they are was filled with light. And it was like a fire was burning around them, and they saw B'chosh. The Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid said he saw with his own eyes, and he wasn't a kid. He saw with his own eyes these malachim. There's a similar ma'isa that when Terovitz Maggid, the student of the Maggid of Mizrich, and a chaver of the Baal Tanya, the Baal Tanya gave him his siddur to give him a skoma. He was a great friend with the Nocham Chernobyl. He was a Maggid, huge, a lot of cities. He was the Maggid. He was the Rebbe of all these. When he came close to Rabbeinu, he was over 80, and Rabbeinu was in his early 20s. And when Reb Nosson, was early 20s or around there. When Reb Nosson, came and he started writing the Torahs. So one of the Torahs Rabbeinu said, I don't remember which one. So the Maggid, the Terovitz Maggid, he said that when Rabbeinu said the Torah, he saw fire come out of Rabbeinu's mouth. We're not talking about children here. You're talking about people with fantasy, with demyonis. We're talking about serious tzaddikim, it's the closest to Ruach Nevuah that have come, since the days of Arizal. Talking about this kind of, he saw fires coming out of them. The Magdim saw the Malachim. He saw the fire burning there. So the Baal Shem Tov said to the Rebbe, in truth, the pshat is the way that you said, but your limud is without neshama. Immediately, the Rebbe ordered his meshamish, whatever it is, to go back without him, and the Rebbe said Baal Shem Tov, and this is the entryway. This is the Chodesh Nisan of the Hasidus, because that's the Rebbe is the one that started. The Hasidus started spreading all over, and gotten foothold all over. So that's how the story started. B'ezrat Hashem, let's open up the Sikha for today and take a quick look and see what we have in store for us. Rebbe's birthday. Sicha Kuf Yud Ches 118. Shamati b'shem Rabbeinu Zichrono Livracha. I heard in the name of the Rebbe. Here, this is a Sikha that Reb Nosson, he didn't hear it personally, but this is something that he heard somebody else told him. Rebbe says, she'oma b'lshon temo, that he said, in the wandering tone, al Hashem Yisborach kashas harbe. There are all kinds of questions about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's kashas on Hashem Yisborach. He says, matov enoim la'ish hazeh. He says, how wonderful, how pleasant it is for such a person who is zeicher das sholem, who is zeicher to a complete das. Sheyoshev lo, that he sits, as it's miyushav, v'roya v'yodea she'eino kasha shum kasha klal. There's nothing is difficult. Everything Hashem does is right. He sees it. V'akol nachon v'yosher. Everything is correct and it's straight. Ki yeshorim darkei Hashem. The ways of Hashem are straight, are correct. V'chen anochi shamati pa'am achana. Rav Nosha says this is something he heard himself. That once he says, talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a lot of kashas. And his kavanah, he was making fun of it. He says, because a lot of people have all kinds of kashas about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a lot of kashas in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did the Holocaust happen? Why this is happening? Why did that? Chas v'sholom. This is really, in truth, it is forbidden to think, to have a doubt after the conduct of Hashem Yisbarach. Ki bevadai tzadik Hashem b'chol l'chol, bevadai Kodesh Baruch Hu is a tzadik with everything that he does. Rak she'ei efshar l'sechel enoshi lavin drochav. It is not possible for human sechel to understand the ways and the conduct, the way Kodesh Baruch Hu, leads the world. B'shum oifen, there's absolutely no way that a person can comprehend that. Obviously, there's a fundamental beginning to everything, and it's not only by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's also by tzaddikim. Rabbeinu says in another place, how befitting it is that people will have kashas on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is stira to what we're saying now. Rabbeinu says no. He says, basically, he says that if we translate what Rabbeinu is saying, that we should actually, that it's good that we have Kash and Kodesh Baruch Hu, is basically a deity that you can understand is not worth serving. If you can understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so you can admire, wow, but if you can understand him, you can figure him out, you can like him, you can love him, you can be dedicated, but he's not worth, serving. And Avodas Hashem has nothing to do with it. Adrabah. It stands to reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we're supposed to serve, is totally unfathomable. It's totally impossible to understand. Milchatchila. The fact that we have kashas is a fundamental element that if you don't have the kashas, in other words, you understand everything, and not because that you believe, because you figure, okay, I understand this. This shtuyot. It's nonsense. Even the things that we can see that it seems to make sense to us, we also don't understand. Rabbeinu once took, I think so, a steel wall. And he says, you want to know how HaKadosh Baruch Hu leads this world, how he conducts, he runs this world. He took the steel wall, that you don't know where the beginning, where the end is. It's all, squiggly, the whole thing. So that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Being today's Nisan, it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan, is the birthday of Rabbeinu. It's worth noting that it's not just on Kadosh Baruch Hu that we have kashas. It's not just befitting a Kadosh Baruch Hu for us to have kashas. Als logic. I'm not talking about Al Tzimur. No, Hashem. So the V'yashel Hashem. No problem there. But like who we are and who HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, it's befitting we should have kashas. In other words, that our mind will run into a brick wall when we're trying to figure out HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it is. But the thing that we need to understand is the same thing applies to the tzaddikim. Same thing applies to the tzaddikim because the ma'ila of tzaddikim is not that they are more than you. This is not what they're about. The ma'ila of tzaddikim is there's something else entirely. And the Lashon of Rabbeinu is so artful when he says, I'm mekane. We learned the Sicha. I'm envious of someone that the Olam called an Elachayid, the Ish Kosher, a Jew the way it's supposed to be. He says, because it looks to the Olam, the world see him, he's walking around, with organs, dokim karkoshes, with organs like everybody else, like another human being. He says, but he's an inyan achar legamri. He's a totally different matter. He's a totally different inyan. What inyan? There's no way to put into words what this inyan is, because the words that we have are olam hazadiki words. Certain words that act as a conduit to the dvarim elyonim that we're not supposed to say. Certain things we're supposed to say only when they're supposed to be said. Saying the name of Hashem during brochas, and the name of Hashem we're not supposed to say. B'chlal Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, and the names of the Malachim that we're not supposed to say. Because what happens is that the Dibur has such tremendous koyach that when a person mentions Kadosh Baruch Hu or mentions a Malach, it's like you're calling somebody by his name. You all know the story of Rudolf Abel. Most of you are far too young to know who Rudolf Abel was. During the 50s, the early 50s, it was being 1950s, there was a big scandal in America. There was a whole spy ring that stole America's nuclear secrets. Stalin, the KGB, they stole American secrets. There was Ethel and Julius Rosenberg that were executed. They were part of this spy ring. And the head of the ring was a name by the name of Rudolf Abel. That was who he is. He was and they knew the name, but they had no idea. The FBI or I don't know. They didn't know what he looked like. They had absolutely no idea how he looked, and the FBI agents went to. They knew that he was alerted that his ring was busted, and they put FBI agents at the airports. For flights that are going out of the United States, going to Canada, and there was a flight going to Canada. They couldn't stop the people from going. They didn't even know how the guy looked like. So as the people were boarding the aircraft, one of the FDR people had an idea, and he called out, "Hey, Rudolph Abel," and one guy turned around. Okay, they got him. Afterwards, he was exchanged. There was an American pilot with a plane called U-2. That pilot was shot down over the Soviet Union, and they exchanged. Gary Powers was the pilot of that plane with Rudolf Abel. That was the exchange. But the Musar Askel here is that when you call a person by the name, before he has a chance to actually control, he's not ready. The name, Rabbeinu says, the Noteron Vav, the name includes the essence of the person. So when you're saying his name, the name, he's coming to you immediately. That is the reason why it's one of the way a person is difficult to wake up. You call him by his name because it's this essence. When you say the name of Malachim, immediately the Malach comes. Malach is right there by you. Now, if you called him without reason and without, then it can create great damage, chas v'chalil, to a person who does that. It's known that Chafetz Chaim used to summon Malachim and send them on various missions. This has to be done here, this is not there. Therefore, it is befitting that we have kashas on tzaddikim. It's befitting because we don't understand anything. We don't understand anything. There's a very famous Maisa about the Rebbe. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it's about Rabbeinu or another Rebbe. That he told us, Gabe, in a few hours, a woman will come here and she'll demand to see me. Don't let her in. B'shum panim va'ofen. No way. And she will throw a tantrum. She'll create a racket. Doesn't matter. B'shum panim va'ofen, you don't let her in. Sure enough, a few hours later comes a woman, demands to see the Rebbe. The Gabba says, no way, you can't come in. She rants and raves and create a whole bedlam. Nothing. You cannot come in. You're not coming in. She stayed there for a few hours, trying and this and crying, and nothing happened. Shumpanim, you cannot come in. So she went to the Besmedrash. Apparently, the Besmedrash was next to the, to where the Rebbe was, whatever was, Rebbe's private, whatever it is. She went to her Kodesh and said, Ben Shalom, the Rebbe refuses to, he doesn't want to help me. Can I help me? You help me. And she cried, whatever it is, and the Rebbe entered the Besmedrash. And he said, he told the woman, he said, I knew that you're going to come, and I knew that I can't help you. The only way there's a chance of things to be helped is that you will come to me, and you'll give up on me, and you'll go to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because then, with the Rebbe's koyach, you go to Kodesh Baruch Hu, you trust to put in trust on Kodesh Baruch Hu, then you get. So here you see that the Rebbe, has his conduct. If anybody who would look from the side says, "What kind of cruelty is this? Well, why not let her in?" Okay, after you know the end of the Maisa, you understand why, but before you didn't understand. Not all Maisas, end up, a success. There are, a physical success. Not every single time, there's a Yeshua. The people came to, I think, to a Cheskel Shinever, or one of his siblings, the sons of Reb Chaim of Tzanz. The first, the Divrei Chaim of Tzanz. Great. Some say that he was the last of the Rebbes of old. The generations kept on coming down, and the last, the Hasidus, what they call the Derech Baal Shem, it ended with Reb Chaim of Tzanz. It's very interesting, Chaim of Tzanz, that the Gabe of Reb Chaim of Tzanz actually went to Uman after the Divrei Chaim passed away. He came to Uman, and they asked him, who he is. He told them who he was. They asked him, what are you doing here? How'd you come here? So he said that before the Divrei Chaim passed away, his Gabbai, asked him, please give my neshama tikkun. So the Divrei Chaim said, I cannot do that. If you want to get tikkun neshama, you go to Uman, you go to Rabbi Nachman, and he will fix your soul. He's the only one who can do that. So somebody came to one of the sons of Divrei Chaim, or somebody else, I'm not sure, and told him that he wants to write a book with all the miracles that Reb Chaim of Tzanz has worked, Reb Divrei Chaim worked for people that came to seek his advice. The Divrei Chaim's son said, I can write a book twice as thick about all the time that people came, and he did not effect a miracle for them. What are we saying here? We're saying here that we are perpetrating a very fundamental but superficial emunas tzaddikim, which is a success-based kind of emunah. You give money to this and you'll see moifsim. You give that to this, you see nisim. You see this, you see miracles. You see this and that. There's stories. This one gave money and all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, this happened. It's marvelous. It's true. Tzaddikim are full with miracles all the time. But that's not what Yiddishkeit is about. Yes, I totally understand. We all understand when a person is in need, our person, not only that he needs a Yeshua, but he also needs the hope. I can go to the tzaddik and I can be poiled the Yeshua that I want. It's a very, very important thing. But nevertheless, this is not what Yiddishkeit is about. That's not what Kavas Tzaddikim is about. What tzaddikim is, I believe that the tzaddik is a tzaddik. I don't know what it means. I mean, the tzaddik is a tzaddik, and he can correct me, he can fix me, and I cannot serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'shum panim v'ofen without his help. I can't do it. So it sounds like, wait, what do you mean you can't fix it, without him? How exactly does this work? What does he do? I have no idea. So what does it mean that you cannot without him? Rabbeinu threw us a little hint, and he said, do you think that you have, when you think who you are and what Kodesh Baruch Hu is, he says, we don't have the ability to do tshuva on the smallest transgression, the smallest aver. They say that the pilot that dropped the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima committed suicide. Why? I mean, there were people, bombing all the time. It was a bloodbath. This entire world was like probably the worst bloodbath in history. Why did he commit suicide? In fact, he didn't even know that what bomb he was dropping. It was just one plane. The Enola Gay was just one airplane dropping one single bomb that wiped out a city. It means that there is such a thing, that a person does such damage, such transgression, that I didn't know. I didn't know the magnitude of what I was doing is no longer an excuse. What do you didn't know? Bomb. Everybody's, they're dropping bombs. Everybody's dropping bombs. You one of I don't know, hundreds or even thousands of bombers going out of Tokyo raid. There were, who knows, 100,000 people, much more than Hiroshima. Yeah, but no, he's one single pilot, one single plane, one single bomb wiped out a city. He could not live with that. And that's nothing compared to eating something without a bracha. Compared to who HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. It's not even close. This is, there's no way you can do a tshuva. You can do tshuva on anything. Only what? You do what you can. The tzaddik does tshuva for you. Mefurish. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Am Yisrael, you made a big boo-boo. Let me go after Hashem. Maybe I can. The tzaddik does tshuva for you. You do what you can. But the tzaddik said, Rabbeinu says, without you I can't do anything. But you without me also cannot do anything. Do you understand what does it mean? The tzaddik, somebody who can atone for you in a way that is like way beyond that pilot who drops a bomb on Hiroshima, way beyond, and he can be mechapa you. In Job, the book of Job says, "V'ish chacham yichapreina." Somebody who is chacham, he can atone for this. Do you understand what do you have to be in order to do it? I don't. But I believe. This is the mainstay of a Jewish emunah. The koach of the tzaddikim. There are many more examples of how these things, how they work, and what they work, and what is going on. The tzaddik has a koach not only to fix, the transgressions that we have, where we have faltered, but the tzaddik is a magnet. That the koach HaMashiach, one of the Torah's manis is Torah Ein, that speaks about the tzaddik is Yisod HaOfer. He is the fundamental element of sand, of earth. It has a koach HaMashiach that pulls people to him, pulls people to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But there's a natural koach HaMachriach, there's a natural a force that drives you away from the tzaddik. If you want, and I'm saying it again, if you want to know who is the tzaddik that is the real tzaddik and give you a tikkun, the answer is the tzaddik that you have the greatest problems in believing in him. That is telling you things about himself that cause, at the very least, your eyebrows to rise. What's going on here? Oh man, that sounds like, I don't know. Why? That's the one. How come? All those that you have no problems in believing, they are not relevant to the tikkun of your neshama. But the tikkun of my neshama is that I have splotches of dirt on my neshama. As Rabbeinu says in Torah, hey, when you hear kashas between the tzaddikim, that there is an argument between the tzaddikim, he says you should know That with this, they are letting you understand that you have damaged your brain. Because the Kedusha, the lack of Kedusha damages the brain. And Mishamayim, you don't have a right to be Miskarav. You don't have to, we said it many, many times. You don't have a right to come close to Kodesh Baruch Hu with what you have done. So what happens is they're letting you hear about this quarrel between these two tzaddikim as your punishment. Now you have a choice. Either you say, listen, the problem's in me, and I have damaged my mind, and that's why I have all these questions. Doesn't matter about people, on tzaddikim and the Kodesh Baruch Hu, doesn't matter, it's the same thing. And therefore, I'm just going to beg Kodesh Baruch Hu to help me clean, to help me be cleaned of those splotches, those stains. And the light of the tzaddik will shine to me. Or, it's not me. I'm not what the problem is. Those tzaddikim, they call themselves tzaddikim, they're arguing. It's their fault. They're the problem. And with this, a person is being pushed away from life, not just this life, to life forever. Okay. First of all, I want to wish each and every one of you a fantastic Chodesh. And Bezrat Hashem, it's such a busy time, Achonis, whatever it is, to Pesach. So many different things to do. It's very easy if you just put for yourself one thing at a time. You'll be able to do everything. One thing at a time, concentrate, you'll do it. Nothing, concentrate, you'll do it. That Hashem will come to Pesach, with Simcha, Sasoin, with a lot of bracha and atzlacha, and should be health to everybody. Everybody should feel good. And akol tov, everything should be wonderful to all of you. Let me just stop.